Okay, everyone, and hello, and welcome back to what is probably another huge video. Quick spoiler warning to start. If you're not around HR 41, there's a little bit of a spoiler piece of gear we're talking about, so if you're not there yet, maybe duck out of the video until you are. Otherwise, if you just want the resources and references, links down below, go ahead and take them. All I ask is just leave that like. You don't have to watch the video, just number go up. Okay, let's get started right into it. Corruption Mantle, aka Corrupted Mantle. What a strange piece of gear. Not 100% sure what this video is going to be called, but ideally it would be called the most complicated piece of gear in video game history. At the very least, Monster Hunter history. Just to read the description. Decreases health, but increases affinity and weapon performance while equipped. Weapon performance. Repeated attacks on monsters will further increase your attack power and your affinity. Let's just throw it on real quick. So right now we have 100 raw. We have 50% affinity, and I'm going to equip the Corrupted Mantle. We get, as you might expect, 10% affinity. And we also get a whole bunch of health drain. If we attack the monster, let's go ahead and just do these attacks just for now. I'll explain why in a moment. Eventually, our health will stop draining. We will get a total of 30% affinity and 10% additional raw. Okay. Kind of easy to follow so far. One thing to note, I only noticed this because I was in the training mode a lot. If for some reason you're in a group, you've got your Corruption Mantle on, the monster's sleeping, and people are setting up, and you don't have anything to do, sheath your weapon. If people are setting up for a Greatsword charge or something, if your weapon is sheathed and you're not moving, the Corruption Mantle does not tick down. Just worth noting. Okay, so we have that. But what does that 10% attack actually work on? Not everything. So this is not an exhaustive list. One quick note as we're getting started, I had a lot of numbers to get through, so I did install a mod that allows me to see separated out raw and elemental damage. I was losing my mind backing into all of the little Corrupted Mantle things, so you're going to see it split out. Link down to the mod in the description below if you want it. If you're on console, sorry, maybe Capcom will add it to the main game officially, but too many numbers that you will see very soon. So I did a decent amount of testing, and while I did not test every single armor skill in the game, I can say generally speaking, there are several broad categories that work, several broad categories that don't work. And really it's just one category that does work. Anything that's on your weapon. The attack up skill, the attack up song on the hunting horn, insect glaive triple up, and offensive guard all seem to proc on your weapon. If there is another weapon-based skill that also boosts your raw, I would assume it will work as well. Things that did not work that I tested: Might Seed, Might Pill, Demon Drug, Mega Demon Drug, Power Charm, Agitator, Adrenaline Rush, Counter-Strike, Gormagala, and Demon Shot. Demon Shot surprised me. I thought Demon Shot is like, oh, this is going to be a weapon thing, so this should get boosted. It was not boosted. I didn't check Chain. Maybe Chain works, but I'm going to say it's an armor skill. Probably doesn't work. Like I said, there's other set bonuses I could have tried. Could have tried Resuscitate, could have tried New Udra, could have tried a whole bunch of other things. But as you'll see very soon, there are a lot of other things to test. So with that out of the way, let's get started with what really makes Corrupted Mantle interesting, other than 10% additional raw and 30% more affinity. So I'll show it first, just so you can see what's going on. So we're going to do a level 3 Greatsword charge. Okay, you see there we got some extra hits. That's very strange. This should only hit 2 times, and we had 6 times, and now we're up to 10 times. That should have been 1, 2, 3, 4. We got an additional 6 hits. What's going on? Well, let me explain it to you. As soon as you put the Corrupted Mantle on, every weapon in the game other than bowguns, I don't know exactly how bowguns work. I'm not going to test them, sorry. Every melee weapon and bows in the game get some moves that get additional attacks. Interesting thing to note is it is not the same boost for every attack. Every motion value in the game can and usually does have a different raw motion value attached to it. Now, I could have created a separate sheet here for Greatsword because on a draw slash, it gets like 1 less hit. I did it for the level 3s. I'm assuming you're all going to be doing level 3s. And this is the basis of comparison for Greatsword. But we're going to go through the entire list. I'm going to be picking out the combos that you're most likely to use and sometimes some moves that you may not be using and show what the additional motion values are and how that works. So we can see right away something very interesting here is for some reason, the draw slash actually gets 25% and 20, whereas all the other charges only get 20, 20. Almost like they were trying to compensate, almost like normalize the damage across everything. The other thing to note, of course, is everything gets, for every hit, you're going to be getting additional elemental damage as well. Goes without saying, Corrupted Mantle is very, very good with elemental damage. I don't have charts for elemental damage, but I do for raw. Because if you're using element, it's pretty much normalized. You're going to get anywhere between double to almost up to triple in some cases the amount of element that you would otherwise. So in any case, when we take a look at a distribution of the raw boost as a percentage of the motion value from the draw slash, strong charge slash, and powered true charge slash, you can see, you know, not just because strong charge and true charge are more powerful, but because of that boosted raw motion value on the Corrupted Mantle, draw charge is actually very powerful. Now, this is not me saying Corrupted Mantle should be used as a draw Greatsword playstyle. It is me saying, though, that if you enjoy that draw charge slash playstyle, you get a little bit of a boost. It's not 100%, but you can see, you know, if you were to add up all of the motion values together, your draw slash is that much closer now to being like a strong charge. Now, power true charge slash is still incredibly powerful, but I think, you know, anyone who's played the game knows it's very easy to get out a draw slash. It's kind of hard to get out a true charge slash. Something to keep in mind. Longsword. I only tested Crimson Slash. I know there's other things you could be comboing in, but my understanding is the way that Longsword is meant to be played is you're supposed to just hang out in level 3 pretty much all the time, unless you're about to drop out of level 3, in which case you Helmbreaker, in which case then you either do the special attack again or you just get back in a level 3 and Crimson Slash some more. I don't know. I haven't really played much Longsword. I spent all my time in the training room. Not much to say here other than those are some pretty weak boosts. You know, I feel like Longsword did not get a huge raw boost as a part of its motion value. So it almost makes me feel like the value here is almost a little bit more from element, but even then, yeah, I don't know. The one hit you do get from the Corruption Mantle, I should say, it is at the full value, whereas usually within Crimson Slash, each hit is only 70%. A little bit hard to say. I feel like Longsword would be a good elemental weapon anyways, because it really is hitting a lot. I mean, that is a lot of element, right? Again, I don't know. I haven't been watching any speed runs. But just looking at the numbers, it's just not a terribly high boost for the raw motion values. So I mean, this is definitely a combo I think at this point everyone is more or less familiar with. I've shown it off on my own channel, and I think probably pretty much anyone else that's using Sword and Shield is using it as well. I'm not breaking new ground on Sword and Shield. I'll show you the chart. What's to say? It makes, relatively speaking, the first two hits stronger compared to the other two hits. The other two hits are still much stronger, right? Everything's getting the same equal boost. Everything's getting the same motion value, elementally speaking. I think the Sword and Shield's a great weapon. I think it's a fun weapon. I think it's a powerful weapon. I think Corruption Mantle is very, very popular on it, but I think compared to some of the other weapons that Corruption Mantle has, it's almost, dare I say, boring in the implementation. I'd say the main thing that saves it is, for the most part, you don't really see many people spamming the triangle combo. You know, as we've said before in the Sword and Shield tutorial, a lot of people just do lateral slash into the charge chop. Maybe, you know, fit the Spinning Reaper or the charge chop in, depending on the situation. So in some cases, it does feel like the Corruption Mantle is here just to save triangle moves or otherwise that would otherwise be destined to die, which is definitely the case for Sword and Shield here. It's just, I don't know, maybe I'm just too used to it. Maybe after going through all of the weapons, I'm like, oh, wow, there's some interesting things going on here. Don't really know. Can't really say. Okay, dual blades are where it does get interesting. Really interesting, right? There's the combo, and oh God, I obviously didn't invent it. I believe it's been called a Japanese runner's technique. If I can find the source, I'll put the link down below. But basically the way the special combo goes is you got to get yourself into Archdemon mode. Don't be in Demonize. And then it's more or less Archdemon, Demon, or Archdemon, Triangle, Archdemon, Triangle, Archdemon, Triangle. And I think this chart is going to kind of show why that is so good compared to Sixfold Strike. Because usually Sixfold Strike is pretty good. I mean, historically throughout the series, you know, it's sometimes leaned a little bit more towards the raw side, but it's always been kind of a staple of the dual blades, especially for, you know, building up your demon gauge and things like that. But we can see the damage ends up getting normalized with Corrupt Mantle between Double Slash, Demon Fang, and Twofold, but it absolutely tanks at Sixfold Demon Slash. And I think the idea was, this is a powerful attack anyways. There's not any major reason to boost that attack anymore because it's already strong. And I'm pretty sure nobody at Capcom thought people were going to be alternating between Double Slash and Archdemon. And the reason why it's so powerful is because it's getting like that 40% boost. Now, mind you, the base motion value isn't that high. It's 18. But it does come out very quickly, and then you are getting the additional corrupt elemental motion value as well. So that's getting doubled. You're getting, you know, almost 40% more damage, and then you're almost able to immediately, of course, go back and forth between the Demon Flurry. It's really the speed that makes it so good. There's a little bit of buffering you can do. When I first tried it, I didn't like it at all. Not because I didn't think it was good, but because it's like I was like hurting my hands because I was like stressing myself out trying to use it. But that doesn't make sense. Don't do that. It's fine on its own. And it's probably fine even without Corruption Mantle. But the reason why it's good is because you're getting that boost from Corrupted Mantle on a skill that's already coming out very quickly, doing good elemental damage without getting sucked into sixfold Demon Slash, which doesn't get boosted at all. So this is a very interesting visual representation of why it's good. Because if sixfold Demon Slash was at 40% or even 30%, I don't know if it would be as popular. I think we would keep seeing a lot of people use sixfold, but because it's not, you're almost better off using Archdemon to get out more damage what sixfold would do anyways, rather than going through the full demons, sixfold Demon Slash there. Just very interesting. Okay, Hammer. I mean, there's not a ton to say here. You know, it gets boosted in your normal golf swing combo. It almost makes you feel like you want to do almost like Freedom Unite style, where you're just trying to greet out as many golf swings as possible. I think we'll just take a look at the chart and we'll see if that gives us any major revelations. It's pretty normalized. I mean, that's almost flat across the board, which means you're already very strong attack. The golf swing, in a way, it's the thing that you want to try and combo into as quickly as possible. Now, is an additional 28% motion value on there worth canceling out of a mighty charge? I don't think so. Probably not. You know, I mean, remember, you're still getting 10% additional attack no matter what. Kind of hard to say, you know. I would imagine that we're going to be getting a lot more KO spamming out golf swings, and if so, if that's something that you wanted to do, it's probably better there. But it would take some very granular analysis to determine whether or not you should be doing mighty swings or not. I don't think you should be doing big bangs. Should you be doing spinning bludgeons? Probably not. It's probably not worth doing spinning bludgeons because, you know, the best part about spinning bludgeons is you get additional elemental motion value. But of course, with Corrupted Mantle, your normal combo is pulling out tons of elemental damage anyway. Very interesting. I like this one. This is funny because, you know, compared to like Sword and Shield, you know, where I was like, that's boring. For some reason, with what it's doing with Hammer, I like it. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why I feel that way. But if you want to know one thing that has me feeling a certain something. Oh, hunting horn. So I don't know whether I said it specifically at the beginning of this video or not, but you maybe noticed I didn't go out of my way to say only your triangle attacks are buffed. And that's because on the hunting horn, everything gets buffed. And as you can also see on the hunting horn, many attacks have completely different motion values from the Corrupted Mantle. Really? 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 Every attack needed something different? Really? This is what you spent your time on? Let's go through some of them. Left swing, forward smash, right swing, flourish. Which one? Backward strike, overhead smash, follow-up attack. They all get something special. Let's take a look at the chart. Let's take a look at the chart. I mean, right swing goes crazy. It does that thing again, like sometimes it has that trend of it's trying to like almost normalize out the attacks a little bit more. For some reason, it loves right swing. Likewise, the boost you get for backward strike and overhead smash is pretty crazy. The interesting thing is the buff for overhead smash follow-up isn't quite as big. You know, technically, if you could avoid ever having to do the overhead smash follow-up, you would be better off potentially just doing more backward strikes and overhead smashes, because I think they would come out faster. I haven't measured the frame time yet. You're going to have to wait for the hunting horde video on that one. But I'm just saying, by the numbers, with Corrupted Mantle up, it's something worth thinking about. Flourish, of course, does not get as boosted. I would not necessarily completely avoid Flourish, but if you could avoid Flourish for playing songs normally, you might actually end up getting more damage out. Just a thought. You know, I mean, it's a pretty strong attack anyways, right? 53% versus, well, 51% on the right swing. You know, it's almost the same. It's pretty close. This is an interesting one. Just as a brief aside, I heard a Hunting Horn Discord had beef with Convert Element. And I'm not trying to start a war here, but I'm just trying to say, like, have you tried this? You don't got to play songs the whole time. You could just hit things. You heard it here first. I feel like Lance is just like in the same category kind of as Sword and Shield, except like worse. I mean, it's just a mantle you put on. You're just going to keep playing the weapon almost the same way. I guess the only difference is in theory, if you were min-maxing stabs, on some openings, you would be spamming your circle button and not your triangle button. And with Corrupted Mantle, it's like, okay, go for it, buddy. Just spam triangle. I'll show off the stabs. I mean, I think you all know what they look like, right? Is this even necessary? There. You got some pokes in. It makes your pokes stronger. I'm gonna go on to the Gunlance now. I'm sorry, Lance guys. I love the Lance, but what are you gonna do? Okay, Gunlance. We actually get some interesting things here. Now, if there's one issue with the Gunlance right now, and I could do a whole video about it, is that there's not many of its normal moves that feel good. At least not great. Not compared to shelling. But there are some things here that I think we could take a look at and we could kind of appreciate. It's not doing too much for our lateral thrusts. I mean, unless you're somehow desperately trying to make Elemental Gunlance works. And if you are, thank you. Let me know if you succeed. There's not much there. I mean, lateral thrust in a wide sleep would be a lot of elemental damage, but at that point, like, be using any other weapon that does elemental damage a lot faster and a lot better. I think the really interesting thing, more than anything, is just how much damage you get out of an overhead smash. Now, obviously, overhead smash can be done out of a perfect guard. And I think what that means is if you are using Corrupted Mantle on Gunlance, you are even more incentivized to perfect guard, go into that overhead smash, and then shell as your main combo. I think that's a good one. Assuming that, you know, you're fighting something that hits often enough that wouldn't make sense to go into longer shelling combos. But if you can ever fit in multiple slams into shells, this boost to damage here might be enough to actually keep you competitive. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're probably using the Guardian Arcveld Gunlance. It has good raw, you know. I mean, 48% motion value isn't amazing, but 72%. I mean, what is that? I mean, that's weaker than a Greatsword, right? Hold on. Poor Gunlance. The full shelling's okay. It would have been good in an older game. You can't help the weapon. You can't help but use the weapon you have, all right? You gotta love it for who he is. And overhead smash is getting boosted. Use that information for what you will. I don't think the meta is changing at all with this revelation, but if Capcom ever changes the base motion values for some of the moves and Corrupted Mantle somehow follows suit in some way, it's worth keeping in mind. Okay, switch axe. A lot of things here. You know, we've got our axe combo, we've got our sword combo. I'll just show them both. You've probably seen them all before. You know, I've heard a lot of people have been preferring to spam the sword attacks with Corrupted Mantle. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially because I did notice that the Corrupted Mantle attacks are boosted by your file type. So that means it's something like 45% more elemental damage, which is a lot. It's a lot of elemental damage. And then whatever the boosts are from power and exhaust and all those. I don't have all of those mapped out, but it does appear that you are getting boosted by your file type. So Corrupted Mantle probably wants to stay in sword mode as often as possible, unless you have some compelling reason to be in axe mode. Looking at the numbers, you know, side slash seems like it's crazy, but you have to remember you're going from a very small number. So, you know, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, wow, I gotta use side slash. But otherwise, you can see, you know, if we were to remove side slash entirely, right, just like crop it out, everything's kind of hanging out near each other, you know? You know, the left rising slash is already a fairly strong attack anyways. So all it is really doing is just getting normalized compared to the right slash. And then the left slash just seems stronger because, again, it's a weaker attack in general. So I don't think there's any other massive takeaway other than, of course, you know, you're going to have a more compelling reason to be even more distinctive on what type of file you're going to use with Corrupted Mantle. Okay, here's Charge Blade. Funny how a lot of the attacks are almost named almost the exact same from Switch Axe anyways, but let's not get too confused. You know, we'll go into the sword attacks. I mean, there's not really a lot to say here. Weak slash is weak. Return stroke isn't much better. Round slash is okay damage, but you're not really using the sword mode as a main source of damage. Is there somebody here that sees that you get bonus elemental damage on those and can think of a way to just pump out a ton of elemental damage? I remember in Iceborne thinking it would be funny to be in permanent red sword mode with Mind's Eye, have like 0 hit stop and just spam out elemental attacks. I don't think it's good. Might be fun. It's something to do. As for axes, you know, your 2 triangle attacks work. Interesting thing to note, this is another weapon that its circle attack is affected as well, so we do get bonus hits here. I don't know why that is, but it is. So all the way up to 2. The only thing that didn't seem like it got anything was the amped elemental discharge. And the follow-up discharge doesn't get anything either. But the 1 and the 2 do get boosted. What does that mean for it as a weapon? It's the sort of thing, you know, you're normalizing weaker attacks, but that does not necessarily mean your stronger attacks are suddenly bad. They're still boosted by the 10% damage plus potentially boosted by the 30% additional damage. Okay, let's take a look at the chart. When I see things like this, I almost feel like at a certain point, there was an order to the madness. And the idea was some guy was like, why not just boost all of the triangle attacks or any of the attacks that we want by 33%? And then somebody was like, no. I want to express myself through the hunting horn. It is, again, though, it is interesting in the sense that it is almost boring, because if you boost everything equally, nothing changes. And that is the situation here, you know? It's just a strictly better weapon. It doesn't change your playstyle at all. And I do feel like the idea behind Corrupted Mantle was in some situations to incentivize you to use moves in your moveset you would not normally use. Still good. One thing to know, and I don't have it up, but Savage Axe, you can still use it normally, but you do not get the bonus hits. Now, with Corrupted Mantle up, is it more or less worth it to hold the button? I don't know, man. Wait for the Charge Blade video. Probably. At least on anything that's weak to element. Okay, Insect Glaive. Not really sure what to say here. I would say that motion value wise, it does not feel as if Insect Glaive was really given a lot of help here. It almost kind of feels like it was treated the same as every other weapon in a way, but it ended up with the same problem that Longsword did, in that it's hitting a lot of times and it did not get enough hits in addition to really compensate. I guess Strong Reaping Slash does get pretty well boosted relative to its original. But I mean, I guess the Strong Double Slash is the one that's most important. I don't know. I guess 30% is not bad. Hard to complain about an additional 30% plus, you know, getting another multiplier to your element. It just feels like, I don't know, Strong Rising Slash is pretty low. The sidestep is low. Strong Double Slash, I feel like could be like a little bit higher, maybe 30 or 33. But maybe that's just because they want you to find ways to put more Strong Reaping Slashes in. But it's not even like that powerful of a move. It's only 38%. I don't know. I don't use enough Insect Glaive. You know, I've talked a little bit about Insect Glaive before in some of the other videos. There's a lot of stuff going on in that weapon. And it's not that I can't play it, but it's not relaxing to play. I'll put it to you that way. Okay, bow's a little bit of a weird one. We're going to do this a little bit backwards. I'm going to attack it first with Corrupted Mantle, and then I'm going to take the mantle off, and I just want you to look at the number of hits. That's 6 hits. And then I take the Corrupted Mantle off. And that's 3 hits. So as far as I can tell, it's just boosting all of your charge shots equally. It gets a very, very, very tiny boost to its raw value. I didn't even make a graph for it. Why would I? It's 1 attack. All right, this is by far the dumbest graph I've ever made. I mean, that is still technically, because you're getting 30% more affinity and you're getting 15% more damage on here and 10% attack. I guess the issue is this only boosts your rapid shot. And many bow users, and if I've only played a little bit of bow, it seems like you want to spam your power shot as much as possible. But at the same time, I feel like bow doesn't get affinity as easily. You know, other than latent power, agitator, sane. You're not getting maximum might. This is still probably the pick for now. I don't think Evasion Mantle beats it. But it is interesting that it's really not that much of a boost. If you're doing Elemental Bow, I think it's an easy pick anyways, because it's basically doubling your element, at least for this one shot type. Otherwise, the information is there for you. Okay, so that is the end of the video. It's the end of the the Corruption Mantle. My time here is saying I've been recording for over 40 minutes. So I'm going to say it's probably okay for me to wrap it up. A little bit of housekeeping before we go to the credits. Just want to say, if you have a source and you know you've got a source and you're using it for a video, you're expressly making a video, it's very good common courtesy to cite the source when you make your own video, because I got this comment and I cropped out the name in a video I posted the other day. I am the guy that did the math for Convert Element, but there's people out there making videos on Convert Element without citing my sources, and now people are coming into my comments saying I'm getting things wrong. I am the guy. I know the damage because I figured it out. So here's my stance. When I make something, when I do research and when I put it out into ether, it's public domain. I can't do anything. I can't stop anyone from looking at it and taking it and putting it in their video. I can just say that if you do that, cite your sources so people know where they can go back to find the original source in case something was lost in translation. So if you have a channel named something like, I don't know, Angry Playtime, maybe credit the people whose research you're using for your own videos. It's the right thing to do. People will probably like you more for it. I mean, because they're not thinking you're the guy. Like, you are not the guy. But you could still have your own take, and that's okay. But you're not the guy. I am the guy. I am the fucking Michael Jordan of Monster Hunter. The one that's getting it done. Cite your sources. We've got good news, though. We've got great news. We hit 50,000 subscribers. That's right, baby. It's only been 15 years. Now, to be fair, I haven't always done a great job making content on this channel. But we got there eventually. You know, slow and steady, it wins the race. As thanks, I figured out how to get the credits to go in alphabetical order. Isn't that amazing? Thank you all so much. Thank you, Twitch Tier 3, Tier 2 subscribers, YouTube members, Twitch Tier 1 subscribers, Prime subscribers. I am retired, but it does help. It does help in my retirement. I don't ask for your subscription. I do ask, though, if you watch this far, this is what I do it for. I do it for this thing. I do it for the science, I do it for the love of the mystery, and I do it for this. I really do appreciate it. I do really appreciate all of you. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. As always, I check the comments every time. I'm always down there talking. I always learn something new. It's always helpful to help learn or think about what my next video might be about. I've got ideas for the next video, but you might always have a better idea. So let me know what you think. Yeah, that's it. Thank you all again so much. Have a good one. Goodbye.